Hello everyone, in this video I'll be going over the full patch notes for Baldur's Gate 3's patch 7. So there's actually quite a bit of patch notes here, as you're going to see, and I'm going to be covering over all of these just to give us my thoughts on them and just talk about what I've experienced so far with this patch. So there's a lot of great changes in patch 7, so I guess getting right into things, the big ones being the mod manager as well as the additional evil ending. So getting into them here, we got Will's evil ending, just a little sneak peek of it here. So all characters get their own evil endings, and there's 14 or 13 new cinematics for this, in addition to the 14,000 endings that Baldur's Gate 3 has. So whether you have embraced absolute power, carried out your father's will, played as an origin character, or generally a menace to society, you'll see that patch 7 introduces 13 new cinematics. And if you're a streamer who's very demure, very mindful, I'm also a streamer, so you can check out my streams on the weekend. But there's endings that even gives Lae'zel her dragon. So I'm excited to see what mods will include dragons with the mod manager, because there has been a bunch of them in the past, and I'm just curious to see what else will get added here. So in addition, it's a one-night kind of thing. This has got a lot of top people talking. So temporarily we get ourselves a new companion. So if you're playing as the Dark Urge, a certain bard will now be able to join the party as a controllable camp character if there's an empty slot temporarily. This seems that some of you didn't pick up what we're putting down. There's no companions. There's only death. The day the music died. So yeah, Alfira the Bard is a temporary companion. Now you can't do the sneaky ways of keeping her alive, unfortunately. So you can't get the potent robe alongside the Deathstalker mantle, two of the best items in the game. But hey, it's cool they added her in as a companion temporarily. That may open floodgates for some mods to come through and give Alfira her own, companion. So she could be a companion for others than Dark Urge, or even mods can make it so that Dark Urge can get her. But some of the big things for Honor Mode is their new legendary mode, honor mode action. So this makes things a little bit more challenging. You can see here Malice Thorm's using one of his new ones, the grasping appendage, which grabs and pulls people towards him. Obviously, the big thing is the mod manager. So we're bringing another update here with our very own in-game mod manager and modding toolkit, which is on PC. So if you have Steam, you can download this yourself. New ability to create and install mods, and it's really easy to use. I guess show this off near the end of this video just to give you an idea, but I do have some videos talking about the mod manager in a bit more detail. So yeah, you can create mods throughout the game itself. If you're playing on multiplayer, you can also use these as well. So you manage your mods for multiplayer, ensuring you have the same mods installed, so that when you go to start a multiplayer game, you can make sure that both players have the same mods. So really nice that they allow that, and there's a ton of mods already, but there's going to be many more to come as people start to create mods for this and get comfortable with the toolkit. So speaking of the toolkit, here it is, the Baldur's Gate 3 mod toolkit. So separate application on Steam that you can download for free to create mods specifically for Baldur's Gate, and uses their own unique language using a program called Osiris. So this is officially supports some scripted mods using Osiris, our in-house scripting language. Reload their own scripts, handle build errors, and carry out basic debugging. So you can publish mods straight out of there, and I've seen a ton being posted hourly, so there's only going to be more and more as people get more comfortable with using the toolkit. But yeah, there is some buggy ones, but it's really easy to just go out of the game, uninstall it, jump back into your game and fix it. So really straightforward. I am a big fan of the toolkit. I think they did a great job with it so far, and just a little way on how to install the toolkit itself. So it's under the DLC for Baldur's Gate 3 and going into the tools section there. So there is some guidelines on how to get into modding here. So you can find this on the Baldur's Gate 3 webpage here. Or also it's on the Baldur's Gate 3 wiki. So there's some guidelines getting started, how to create mods and browse mods online. So yeah, lots of cool stuff. Also, Larian Studios has their new YouTube channel, Channel from Hell. So keep an eye out for that for mod features. And if you'd like to get involved, you can check out their Discord server. Patch 7 brings a lot of new involvement, features, and bug fixes, but getting into things, there is some spoilers here. Not really crazy spoilers. If you play the game before, you're going to know what you're expecting, and I'm going to get into this. There's a ton of them, so here, highlighting our evil endings. So there's some new cinematic endings, 13 of them for the Dark Urge and other evil playthroughs. New mod manager, and split screen gameplay. So typically when we were playing split screen previously, the game would split right down the middle, and it wouldn't split properly. So now if we move far away and you're playing with multiple players, it'll split the screen, and then when you come back together, it'll join it all together again. So nice improvement to that. I'm happy to see that they've increased the they've upped the game when it comes to modding and with screen split screen multiplayer gameplay. Really nice because this is a great couch co-op game, and this will be coming to PlayStation and Xbox here soon. Honor mode combat. So there's some really big changes here. These are all the legendary actions. So Dror Ragzlin has a legendary action so that if he gets knocked into the spider pit, he can use the arachnid compulsion to band them together to fight you. So that's nice, giving the Dror Ragzlin fight a little bit more challenge because normally he wasn't that bad. The Boulette also has the diamond scales and a new legendary action called Shedding Scales. Malice Thorm has that grasping appendage, which was showed off to pull people towards him. There's a new aura and spell for spectators, Panic Sentinel and Ocular Nightmare. 2 new Githyankies. I'm not going to try and pronounce their names and butcher them, but in Act 2 at the Githyanki ambush in the Knights of the Shield hideout, 2 new actions called Soul Sacrifice and Tunarath's Embrace. Pitaris also gets a legendary action, Pitarian Dogma. The UI gets some new options here, so updated the reactions UI so you don't have to toggle the reactions we want to use and confirm them. This saves you from having to select do not react multiple times. Divination wizards across the country are happy with this one. Added a new equipment option menu to the character sheet on controller. The panel that opens to donate magic items to Gale will now show items in your traveler's chest. That's huge. As you can see, I'm playing as a Gale Origin here, so this is very useful for me. We've noticed some of you hiccuping bubbles. So now when you use soap, it says use instead of consume. Previously, the wording made it sound like you ate the soap. Fix your character's name getting reverted to custom during character creator. And fix the wrong spell ability showing up when selecting a feat during level up. Some artwork. So in Act 3, there's one of people just in the streets now, so that's a nice little update there. Fix the scared part of the adamantine splint armor, missing for female dwarves. And fix the adamantine scale male, clipping on large male characters. They did not fix the Wave Mother's robe clipping on larger drow or half-elf characters, so it still will clip through the character. Unfortunately, I have that in a previous video, but gameplay. This is a big one for me. You can now start custom mode with honor mode mechanics when starting a new playthrough. You can do it through the rule set. So if you want to use the honor mode mechanics without having the restriction of just having one save, now you can do it. I think that's awesome. So I may start some new playthroughs. The Kuato that promised you to build an army will now support you in the final battle. So the fish people, Buals, Benediction, those folk will now help us. And help that the Ghanaians promise for the final battle will now arrive in the form of friendly Steel Watchers. So you can get a Steel Watcher if you help out, making that quest line a little bit more worthwhile doing in Act 3. The hair color options in the character creator will now remain accessible after you choose the bald hairstyle, so you can continue fiddling around with eyebrow colors. Overhead dialogues that support multiple characters can now involve characters assigned to different players. They are limited to characters controlled by a single player until now. It means there will be more banter along characters in multiplayer games. This is huge because now when you go wandering through, you're going to hear your companions talk to each other a lot more, and I've seen it firsthand. It happens often, so really love that change. Group hide will no longer affect summons that aren't linked in a party, so if you try to hide, your summons will now too, if they're linked to the group, and if not, they won't. Change the behavior for selecting camp supplies, so it'll only take what it needs from a stack. You can no longer choose the Leap of Faith in the Gauntlet of Shar by clicking the final platform, so it will make it so that you have to do it. And Shar threatened to smite Larian if they didn't fix that one. Thought that was pretty funny there. Fix a bug where resurrecting Lae'zel on the beach in Act 1 would cause her to appear in the party line, but not in the world, preventing you from leaving Act 1. Fix some save games where Gale still has necrotic order when he shouldn't unload. And fix Minthara's body sometimes turning invisible. I had this one and it was pretty funny, so it's just head and hands. Animation. Astarion now has idle animations at camp that aren't just him reading a book. So glad for this, because reading a book, I understand, but he now juggles a knife around, which is something you'd see Astarion doing. So happy that they got that idle animation. New idle animation for Minsk at camp. Boo or may or not taught him some Tai Chi. This one's hilarious. He does like some poses, and Boo jumps up on his head, and they do like Tai Chi poses. Love it. Karlach will no longer brush the shaved side of her head. I still saw her do that yesterday, so I don't know. Maybe it'll get fixed. Polish the appearance of neck kisses on the lovey-dovey scenes with Shadowheart in the Sharon Pass for characters with large body types and Dragonborn characters. Also, wearing Ketheric's armor would impact this, so that's another one that got fixed. I was told in the comments yesterday, so nice to see that getting addressed. Writing and flow. So this is just some minor changes here. Some dialogue options that voice lines into a handful of dialogue in the game, particularly for edge case flows. So added 3 new narrator lines for the Dark Urge characters to be more reactivity among the game. These additions are described in detail in the main patch notes. Resolved an issue that there's been rendering some romance party banters inaccessible while adventuring. Fix a flow issue where Avatar Lae'zel did not have the option to leave or ascend or stay on Faerun after Netherbrain was defeated. That's great that they fixed that for Avatar Lae'zel. Added a dialogue option asking for a kiss and more of Will's epilogue. If you're holographic form the epilogue, Will won't think that you're Lae'zel. A bug that has been preventing Will's romance greeting from triggering has now been fixed. Players of Act 3 that have a stable, loving, and committed relationship with will now see his romance greeting triggered correctly. Fixed priorities on Will's greetings, so low approval greetings will now trigger on people with low approval. Companions should be more sympathetic for Astarion fleeing in the sun, which, yeah, that one always struck me as weird, that everyone's just like, oh, see Astarion whenever he can't stand the sunlight anymore. Add a dialogue where Karlach will react to Daemon if she finds him dead after being told he can help her. In Act 2, Minthara will now react to you knocking her out in Act 1, so that's nice too. If you want to get Minthara on a good playthrough, you got to do it that way. Scripting, there's a ton of scripting changes. So fix several issues related to resurrecting characters via withers, and it'll trap you in internal slumber. Fix a bug with Shadowheart repeating one line when you talk to her after she's been resurrected in the Shadowfell. Fix a small issue preventing you from commenting on Gale's lack name, Dekarios. Fix several instances of Will having an exclamation mark above his head when he doesn't have anything to say. When playing as the Dark Urge, Minthara will no longer act as you have accepted Baal, and when you have been stripped of his influence. That happened on one of my playthroughs, and it was really weird. Fix the broken kissing scene after he gave Shadowheart the Idol of Shar. Fix an issue where Jaehaer would stop following the party after spending a night outside the party. Fix the rune tablets on the Nautiloid not trigger narrator's lines. Clerics of Lathander should now recognize the symbol on the Latharian amulet. Ensure the Avatar is prioritized when getting the hags to surrender in Act 1. Minthara does now, in fact, have something to say about Orin after you kill her, which is crazy because she has that huge lead up in Act 2. So, finally happy that we're getting that dialogue. And made romance scene at night with Will Act 3 unskippable if it triggers to accidentally avoid skipping it would not be able to finish the romance arc. If Avatar, Karlach, and Will are partners and go to the hells together, to now act accordingly. That's a big change. Fix Karlach seeing the Avernus not playing if you decide to go with her while playing as Will. A bug has been fixed, so Will will now talk to his father if Answer is defeated after the pact, with Mizora is broken but Ravengard is saved from the Iron Throne. Lae'zel will now wait a little longer for you to recruit her and tell her he'll be back. Improve Lae'zel's idle camp behaviors to align better with the other companions. Fix the fade to black and Karlach scene in Avernus that will give away a very brief glimpse of the game developer land. Breaking up with Karlach by speaking with another companion you're dating the morning after her romance won't block her dialogue anymore. Reinstate Gale's last line, a detailed explanation of Seramorphosis and detailed dialogue to option recruitment. Dialogue option react to it. Now if you have Gale magic items from the Traveler's chest, he will leave, and if you refuse to do so, that's good. Fix that and make him leave. Patch some save games that a bug will prevent the dialogue between Gale and Mystra at the end of the game from triggering. Fix a bug that let you kiss Gale when he was in disguise form before confronting Netherbrain. Also fix the dialogue with him cutting off before you can give him a smooch. Rework this script that determines whether a character is too busy to talk. This will prevent bugs like Minthara's dialogue not triggering Moonrise Towers after you recruit her. And knock-on effects on the list like not being able to fast travel or rest. Performance. Lots of performance updates and underhood code fixes. I've noticed this. It's been running really smoothly. So, yeah, I'm happy that this game can run, like, amazingly. They did a great job with this. So, I'm impressed, once again, with what they've done in this game. Optimized performance. You'll notice it with large areas like the lower city where there's a bunch of NPCs using up peak memory usage. It'll also be noticeable managing a lot of loot. Rework the cinematics to play when you interact with Answer's Bone and Worm Way. Polish facial expressions and emotions across companion dialogues, including the facial animation of your character during some kissing emotions, including the Vampire Lord Astarion. So that's one thing that I've noticed a lot in this game is the character's emotions sometimes don't align. No other way to put it. Sometimes they'll be kind of smiling during awkward situations when they probably shouldn't be, so nice to see that fixed. Fix a crash when loading Act 1. Fix a crash when mousing over characters in combat. Fix them. I never had any crashes in my games except for the Poltergeist house in Act 3, so fix some issues with long rest. Also, if you guys want to grab some popcorn, I got a lot more to read. We're barely like 1/3 of the way through this. Fix the save made during long rest could crash, and you could sometimes get stuck in a long rest forever and ever. Amen. Fix a crash when saving the end of Act 2. Fix a potential crash at load. Fix a potential crash at level up. Potential crash when approaching the abandoned refugee on a fresh save. Fix a blocker related to Origin's Dagger, which will respawn near the altar if you hurl her into a chasm and a cultist picked her up before you did. Because it's not bound to her, it zip back to her corpse. You need Origin's Dagger because it has the Nether Stone. So, yeah, that's an important one to make sure that's working properly. Fix a crash when trying to load in Lower City and when quickly pressing connect and create in the lobby of Browser and GOG. Fix a crash when the player checks whether you have the DLC Deluxe Edition. Fix a potential crash when player 2 leaves a split screen dialogue. Fix camera activation issues on split screen, crash when player 2 rejoins a game mid cinematic. Fix a potential crash caused by the reeling condition getting stacked too high. I love reeling. Fix a crash when dragging the portrait of dismiss minor illusion summon over another player's portrait. Fix a bug where using the mold chamber to Grimforge would prevent you from moving. Crash in fellow gears, fireworks on average turn in combat. Crash due to the game scripting requesting combat from a character that isn't loaded into the region. Crash that would occur during a cutscene that would trigger when you reach the nether brain. Crash when switching between keyboard and mouse and controller during a dice roll. Trying to reload a save game or return to main menu crashes. Trying to choose take all from a chest in mundane. Fix a crash with dialogue with Balin Bone Cloak when forcibly cut short after mousing over a dialogue option. Fix an edge case blocker preventing you from long resting. Added a save game error to prevent potential crash. Fixed a bug where you would get caught in combat if your character was down but not dead when Isabel was killed. Fixed a bug where you could get locked in combat with Khazor if Astarion was lying incapacitated in his ritual position. One of the other spawn was dead and the rest of the party was defeated by Khazor. Now just combat ends with a grain over screen, so that's good to fix that. Sorry for the yawn. This is long-winded. Fixed a potential crash when leaving the Iron Throne combat. Fix a bug when you get stuck under the elevator in the colony, blocking progress. Fix a crash that would occur when you would fast travel in Rivington and Worms Crossing. Fixed a crash that would occur when fighting mimics, and fixed a crash that would occur when dropping certain items. I'm pretty sure I said fished a crash multiple times there. My apologies. Combat imbalance. This is one that a lot of people are looking forward to. So fix a potential soft lock where if you have multiple summons that are surprised and you switch to a character whose turn it is on controller, the combat would get stuck passing turns between the summons. Fix a form of the dread triggering a saving throw for frightened if the character is already frightened. This is what I'm sad about. Upcast of Witch Bolt can no longer be used with twin spell. So you usually used to be able to upcast it, which does 1d12 extra per level, and dual cast it, which is a little bit broken. No longer can be used, sadly. Fix a bug with a goaded condition, where if the goading enemy would attack the owner instead of the summon, so with Beastmaster Ranger Bears. Fix some of the goblins missing the fury of the small passive in tactician mode. Dampen elements will no longer require channel divinity point. Improve monks deflect missiles by helping the projectiles avoid obstacles on their way back, so when you deflect it, they'll fly back to the enemy properly. Clench of the North Wind will now target two characters at level 9. They just had to clench a little harder. So it said that you could do it 2 characters with Clench of the North Wind, but it wasn't previously possible. Enemy NPCs can no longer use dash again while the first dash is active, making them a little bit more challenging. The first saving throw for the Dire Raven's Bad Omen is now Wisdom instead of, I think it was Constitution, and it scales with the Raven's level. Fungal Infestation can now be used as a reaction when killing a target, which is nice to bring up the zombie right away. The Spectator's Charm should now be broken through damage or by killing the Spectator. The Druidic Spells by Halsing Gets can now be upcast. Flicks Cloud Kill, not killing characters at the end of its range. Infernal Spears joining combat when dropped. Patch up some save games that are stuck in combo where the game script is not intentionally pausing them. Roost the Shard's Darkness spell on the frequencies in which NPCs choose to cast it. Swapping weapons between characters now properly consumes an action for both of them. Fix the Mean Lock Fear triggering a Constitution saving throw instead of Wisdom. Fix Auntie Ethel's Magic Surge. Weird Magic Surge not triggering with Counterspell. Combo will now end correctly if you're in combat after speaking to the Emperor in the Astral Plane. Act 1. Fix Nier's Coerce condition, sometimes getting removed from characters despite them being temporarily allied to him due to his wicked coercion. Priestess Glut will no longer hit herself with her own conditions. Silly Gob Gob. Fix Mayrina and Auntie Ethel disguised as Mayrina having different health point values in Tactician. In Act 2, fix the bug where the combat at Last Light Lakeside would no longer further waves would spawn. Made the combat at the Last Light Lakeside trigger more consistently for standing in odd positions. Balthazar should no longer stand idly and cause combat to halt while in the colony. Balthazar's reanimated skeletons in the Shadowfell now have shove only in Tactician. Increase the health point of the undead nurse's resurrect from 25 to 45% during the combat with Malice Thorm in Tactician and Honor mode. We suggested to Yrgir that when he's invincible, he should take advantage and actually try to move around so he's harder to find. You can cast Create Water to find him. That's a little tip from me to you. Improve the feasible Thorm combat in honor mode. Basically, his explodes will hit people more frequently, and legendary actions will do a debuff based on the explosion type. Increased damage, and Blackout no longer applies vulnerability to all damage in honor mode. So, improve the Shadow Spirit in the lane combat. His Shadow Friends will no longer disappear during combat. His Shadow Friends no longer disappear when the damage is done, and improve the visuals for his Shadow Friends disappear. Now, we got Act 3. Cazador can now use his legendary action in Mist form. Cyrus has alert and legendary resistances in Tactician mode. Roland will now become more powerful after taking over the tower. Gortash's Avatar of Tyranny form is no longer dependent on whether it's his turn or not. Fix multiple issues related to Gortash's turrets. So, I won't read all of these. You can just pause right now and read it if you'd like. But basically, it now works as intended, and the video or the visual effects will work properly, the sounds will work properly, and the damage works properly. Made sure Ritual Drain is applied correctly on Asta, Yusin, and Violet in combat with Cazador. After ascending, Cazador will no longer receive healing from the vampire regeneration. Fix the bug in Cazador's fight where it's possible to get more than one bonus action per turn of the same character stepping on and off the pentagram in front of Astarion several times per turn. Pretty funny one. Improve the combo with Viconi in line with the description. Her divine intervention won't target followers of Shar anymore, even if they are enemies. And the illusionary map terraforms will not change the character portrait. So that's good, because if you play as a cleric of Shar, you're not going to get hit by that anymore. Lady Jannath and Oscar will no longer get opportunity attacks against the Poltergeist in Jannath's estate. This is one place that's still cursed for me. Moonlight Silver's Banishing Smite will now stop Myrmidons from empowering Lorokin, and if the Myrmidons are successfully banished, enemies in High Hall shall now leave combo when knocked out. Second wave of Intellect Devourers in the Morphic Pool shall now join combat correctly. Gortash's legendary action would not work when blinded, now it does. To improve her chances of survival, Hope now has a passive called Last Hope, which gives her Death Ward for free when she enters combat. Huge, because she would die easily. During combat, Raphael will no longer care about walking on fire. Improve the fight against Lorokin. Elemental Retort now costs a reaction cast. Targets will now roll a dexterity saving throw against Elemental Retort, and Myrmidons will also buff Lorokin with additional reactions. Tweak several settings for the windows in Jannath's estate to fix where combat can trigger. Fix the cult Alamurus not attacking you if you're wearing damage reduction armor. Improve the Restore Soul spell so it's easier to claim a soul from Raphael, also with dated visuals. Viconi now only receives mortal reminders of additional passive in Tactician. Add some lightning clouds to the final battle in Wormway. In the fight against the Dribbles the Circus, range attacks will now auto-crit on enemies against the Menace condition. Fix Cranknot flying back up to the higher floors and rammers the tower in Act 3. Ramazith's defenses now include the internal turrets again. Witch Bolt works really well against some guys. Also fix the turret script so that they end their turn when they don't shoot, and they don't shoot on it's not their turn. Fix the technical name showing up for Answer's limbs. Name them all Answer was the answer. Fix Answer's friendly lightning strike. Units sometimes attempt to attack the lightning strikes. Mystic Carrion's legendary action now triggers on hit, and not when an undead ally dies. His legendary action condition now curses, and his legendary condition buff heals the undead when it ticks out instead of when applied. Raphael can no longer steal souls from creatures that narratively don't have souls, such as undead and constructs. Viconi cannot target Shadowheart with her trademark spells, even if Shadowheart is wild-shaped. Or she can now target her. Enemy wolf summoned in combat near the safety dock instead of span checkpoint no longer use help. Cazador's bats and werewolves are now immune to ghastly fumes, which is gaslight fallen Gur hunters spawn every turn. Fix a bug where Cazador is already dead and his spawn can fight back. Killing a spawn in combat could restart the combat. Casting Dominate Person on Dolor before combo will no longer lead to all companions becoming enemies of the caster. Kled doesn't have Drawer Raglan legendary action anymore. Drawer's not one for sharing. Raphael's Infernal Salve will now only work on his allies who are fiends. The Wayward Undead condition will now get removed when combat is ended, and the undead entity will just get destroyed when the condition is removed. Condition also has an icon. Improved AI pathing around dangerous areas, both in and out of combat. Fix a bug when combining Wild Shape with a Seeming spell could let characters get reduced to 0 health points and remain alive. Fix an issue where druids could not revert their wild shape while playing with a save game with mods. Enemies now drop loot when dying from having one of their ability scores reduced to 0. You can do that with Withers, by the way. If you really want to reduce Withers to 0 and use Intellect Devour, you can kill them that way. Fix the Chest of Mundane, handles item stacks higher than its maximum. It should no longer gobble up your normal coin stack and split back in easily 21 cups in return. Fix a bug that prevented Monk Shadow Step from giving advantage for rogue sneak attacks. Fix an issue causing Tempest Domain Channel Divinity to not deal maximum damage for Shocking Grasp. Don't use it on Shocking Grasp, guys. Use it on a better spell that deals lightning or thunder damage. You can no longer open containers through trade as if they weren't locked. Fix a bug preventing you from looting meds if you dig them up. Also, it fixed the bug that you could steal items from vendors by just transporting the items over. Fix some flickering shade artifacts when appearing on Karlach's tent. Visual glitches between surfaces. Some items flickering when approached with the camera. Fix a combat cursor reappearing too soon when you cast a combat spell. Fixes surface lights only being created on split screen on player 1. Fix dialogue, sometimes not starting with the characters who are pickpocketed. Fix blocking barricade or doors, sometimes resulting in incorrect pathfinding. Fix the cats who are not able to fit through small holes sometimes. That's a big one because that's the big benefit of using a cat form. Fix druids being unable to unequip weapons after long resting while wild shaped as Myrmidons. Fix a case where you could end up soft locking after a long rest if a character spent the night outside camp when they had a camp scene queued up. Dismissing a companion like Scratch's ball will no longer transfer the ball to Scratch after a long rest. Fix a rare case where custom characters no longer follow the controlled character. Fix a weird case quirk of AI spellcasting by ensuring that the source is a target position for committed to a projectile-based attack. Prevent summons and followers like Gleph from being able to consume noble stock. Yes, your mage hand probably ate it. No, we don't know where its mouth is. Your mage hand could also use strength potions. I'm going to have to test if that still works. Dismissing hirelings or avatars via dialogue now functions the same way as dismissing companions. When Withers resurrects an avatar, the Dream Guardian will no longer prompt another nearby avatar to loot them for the tadpole. That's good. Similarly, dead and dismissed avatars will no longer trigger the same prompt. Some decorum, please. When multiple characters in a party discover a trap or a hidden item, only one will comment on it. We figure we don't need 4 people telling you to watch over the same trap at the same time. That's a very welcomed fix. Fix an issue which allowed multiple party members to learn how to summon Shovel. Just one basket is enough. Thanks. I'm a little bummed about that. Thankfully, I already have it on multiple players on some of my playthroughs. Made NPCs overhead dialogue for certain crimes more fitting for the crime. NPCs will now react as though a crime was committed when they succeed a successful saving throw against hostile spells. Fade in and outs now only occurred after a combat crime when there's someone around you to take you to prison. If you fail to lockpick a booby-trapped item, the trap will now trigger. If you succeed, the trap will not trigger and the trap will remain armed. Ooh, interesting. Dismissing the leader of a party will now reassign that follower to an active avatar. You can now swap out party members by speaking to the companion you want to replace, even if one of them wants to replace his wild shape. When your companion will think of you replacing them with a sheep is another story. Lathander's Light will no longer save companions that a dark urge was driven to kill. Interesting. Summons will now disappear alongside their owners when you dismiss them the ladder to camp. Fix multiple slots where perception checks were being made through solid objects. Theology knowledge is worth having. Background goal can only trigger when you read the last page of a Necromancy of Thay instead of when you succeed the initial ability checks, giving you less inspiration. Fungal infestation can now be used without a corpse in areas with rejuvenating miasma. Oh, that's a nice fix. So fungal infestation can be used whenever you can pick up, like in House of Hope, there's an area with a rejuvenated miasma. So nice. All Myrmidons except Earth are now ethereal and cannot be thrown. Fix some identical item stacking is not stacking. Fix some surfaces not being created if you press F5 in the same frame they're created. Fix a bug in multiplayer where using Withers to resurrect an avatar belonging to player 2 could lead to the avatar being on a rest or long rest or fast travel, which would cause obviously a lot of issues. The Elithid Power Mind Sanctuary now consumes resources when consuming potions. Additionally, potions can be used in the Mind Sanctuary Nexus if there's only one action available. Fix the Gibbous of Worshipful Servant not generating momentum at the start of combat. Fix the bug causing the Dark Urge to get renamed after using the Magic Mirror. Elminster should no longer react to crimes that don't affect him. We distracted him with some Stilton. Fix the position of pings for corpses. Fix the save game made during trade, possibly not restoring the trade correctly and crashing. Fix splitting not working in trade when the moving items from companions' inventories. Fix the context menu and trades that are in a companion's inventory. Fix the cinematics looking broken if split screen on player 2 disconnects from local co-op from the menu. Fix rib cages stacking onto each other, causing items stored in them to be lost. Fix an issue on multiplayer where Gale will briefly appear in his undies if the client host has the donate UI open and Gale's wearing magical robes that he can consume. When you unlock a trapped item using its key, the trap will now be disarmed. Fix a bug which lets you waltz your way through destructible walls without actually destroying them. You could attempt to attack the wall and your character would pathfind right through it in search of a comfortable spot to take a swing. Oh yeah, I guess I did see that before. There's a wall in Act 3 that I had that happen with, and I was like, oh. All characters with wet condition will no longer have darker scalps. You no longer loot the underwear of non-recruited companions when you knock them out. Fix a unique username mix-up with multiplayer when hosting the game via GOG and another player join a Steam. The latter's Larian account username would appear where the host username should be. Fix an issue where invisible character will sometimes render not at all for a second player joining the game. We need them to be invisible, but not that invisible. Some legendary action reactions can now trigger from further away. Fix a bug on controller where the right stick would turn tooltips off, causing the A button more details become unresponsive. Fix a multiplayer bug causing characters to get stuck in dialogue if you swap characters while in a dialogue during an active role. Fix a bug when acquiring Devil's Sight from the Warlock while standing in a cloud. Darkness didn't work until you moved out of the cloud. That's a minor one, but interesting. Fix a small delay while playing spell animations. Now we're getting into some Act 1, 2, and 3. So, fix the owlbear cub sometimes disappearing from camp when killing goblins in the goblin camp. When playing as Dark Urge, if you invite her, Alfira will now join your party as a controllable character if there's room for her temporarily, of course. Alfira no longer is a tadpole, can be leveled up, and will no longer use the magic mirror. Attacking Zent inside the Zentarium hideout will now consistently drag your entire party into the fight. Shoving someone down the pit, the Underdark, and the Whispering Depths will award XP more often. Soldiers will now be inspired if you defeat the goblins attacking the Emerald Grove. If there are no losses on the Tiefling side. That's huge, because it was... People said that that would normally happen. I'm surprised it's in the patch notes, but fix the Crucible at the Adamantine Forge, becoming uninteractable after Grim dies. The Acolytes of Demon Web Pits background goal will now trigger if the spiders become Loth followers by succeeding in any dialogue ability checks, not just persuasion. Throwing a fish at a Tuffet, the Sleepy Bear in Emerald Grove will now properly remove it from your inventory. Fix a bug where the Emerald Grove gate wouldn't open after a goblin raid. And fix a split screen issue unrelated to the unstable statue in the Shattered Sanctum, causing players to disappear. Act 2, Dark Urge should now be inspired by killing Nightsong. Fix a bug where your party members would very quickly change out their armor and into their cozy camp clothes when you talk to them after left of the astral plane. We really don't blame them for being so desperate to hit the hay. Minthara now properly leaves the party when you tell her to go to Baldur's Gate alone. Also fix causing Elmilium to be unresponsive in the Iron Throne. That would screw up a lot of playthroughs. Fix the Wormway door not opening for characters behind it. Fix a fading issue causing some background NPCs in the lower city to have duplicates. Fix an issue when resurrecting mind-controlled Nightsong, which cause enemies to attack their ally. During the final battle, companions being called upon will now appear with some clothing for the occasion. Gale no longer has access to Netherese Orb in the Netherbrain Psyche. Hang bodies in lower city are less likely to fall down when you meddle with them. Only movement, a change in their type of death, or additional physical harm can take them off the gallows. Fix a camera not following you when you got teleported to Sorcerer's Sundries. Smugglers turned underneath the open hand temple are now accessible from cave-in entrance if you came through there and cleared the cave from the inside. You can no longer use the active search feature to bypass the booty trapped case and pick up the keys inside it. Smarty Pants is that's funny. A rat basilisk gate will now come back after a long rest if you attacked it. Improved lumber support. Lumber will now stand still after you paid him to hit it. That's a funny way to put it. Gortach's grenade should explode after being picked up now. Fix a bug where interaction with a crate full of explosives in Rivington could cause you to get stuck in an endless loop of crying dialogues and getting sent to prison. Crimson Mischief in the Midorous cuts prey upon the weak passive now works properly against creatures with 50% health or lower. Finally. Fix several issues with the portrait that Oscar gave you. Principally, the image on the portrait will now be that of an active player claiming the reward. And fix a bug where dropping or selling certain items looted from Lower City Grave could cause NPCs to react as though you committed crime of moving a corpse. Fix the interaction between the spell Savant, Amulet, and Smite spells. Divine Smite creates sorcery points that cause the spell to add one sorcery point when re-equipping the amulet. Fix protection from good and evil, not protection from Incubus Charm. If you decide to turn Sorcerer's Sundries in the battlefield, clients will now properly run away from the shop forever if there are no guards left to defend it. Fix the projection, clerks, and Sorcerer's Sundries not appearing in rare cases when they're killed. And fix the Cordon Recent being able to raise the zombies in the Sorcerer's Sundries where he shouldn't be able to or when he's dead or silenced. Flowing and scripting. Fix the soundscape of crowded areas. So this is a big one. So you can only hear one character talking at a time. Previously in Baldur's Gate, the city, you could hear multiple people talking at once, but now it's just one player or just one person talking at a time. So it's a lot less clutterful when you're walking through the city. Fix a bug where the entire party would stop following you, even if they were grouped. That's huge. That was one that bothered me. If you're prevented from going to camp, you'll no longer be potentially teleported outside the current region. Interrupting withers after asking him to resurrect someone immediately talking to him when the dialogue ends will now resurrect the target instead of canceling it. Fix the bugs where a character would fall into a chasm and become invisible. Fix a bug where killing someone when walking to camp would stop the camp night scenes from triggering. Fix some edge cases where players get soft locked in a camp because a companion triggered the wrong dialogue. Attacking your companions as the dark urge after murdering one will now correctly lead to combat. Fix the background blue blood solidarity, not completing after you talk to Will about him being the son of Duke Ravengard. Characters who lost the necromancy of 3 after locking secrets will see the book return to their inventories. Minthara will no longer repeat herself when you try to recruit her to a full party. Fix Floric not joining combat in Acts 1 and 2. Fix your character speaking instead of Shadowheart when you sit beside her in camp and multiplayer. Shadowheart is more engaged with the flora and fauna at camp. Fix Hireling sometimes not having dialogue options. Lae'zel will no longer tell you to give the Gith egg to Lady Esther if the latter is already dead. Or not to give it. Made characters overhead dialogues for crimes triggered by the banishment spell more contextually appropriate. Minthara now ceases to be a true soul of the Absolute when she is recruited. Origin characters will no longer comment aggressively about Minthara's death. Fix Lae'zel's main dialogue sometimes not correctly whenever you select leave. Fix an issue with the goblins in Cap 1 could trigger after Minthara has moved on to the Moonrise Towers in Act 2. A camp night scene with Shadowheart will no longer trigger if she's not in the party and also dead. Fix Gale's explosion, sometimes not showing correctly, meaning you get a game over without knowing why. Made further fixes to us being in the party when it shouldn't be. Because I'll see if it can still trigger as a fine familiar. Fix your player's character introducing themselves with the wrong name when talking to Mizora. Fix camp night scenes not playing when you went to bed. Polymorph like as a gaseous form. Tutorial in Act 1. Fix Avatar Lae'zel behaving like a companion at the end of the tutorial and telling you to hurry. Fix the blood preventing you from throwing or dropping corpses of the Deviled Lake into the Nautiloid. Lae'zel will no longer... Guys, I got a lot of these left. That is so much. I might just skim through some of these now because there are so many of them. So, yeah, this is crazy. So into Act 3, if you knock out Raphael with your final blow during his boss fight, he will no longer stand back up during the cinematic that follows. Fix an issue preventing you from transforming with a Supreme Tadpole if you refused it the first time. Fix some issues with the overhead dialogue between Scribe Goosequill, Baz Hopbank, and Fist Gummidge. Karlach's death scene will no longer abruptly end when a gone Gith player chooses to leave with Lae'zel. Fix a bug where if you promised Khazra to bring Astarion to him and Astarion was in your party, you could go to Astarion and camp and tell him to replace himself in your party. That's funny. Fix some rare broken scripted character behavior near the end of the game. Fix some repeated dialogue options discussing the sorcerer's sundries with Gale. I think in Act 2... Yes. I read through all these already, and there's a lot of them. Fixed an issue that caused Viconian to start the wrong dialogue in combat. Elminster will no longer tell Gale to talk to Mystra in the Stormsword Tabernacle if you've already done so. You no longer ask Sylphie in the Worm's Crossing about Mole's location when you've already visited Mole. When recruiting Minsk at the end of Jaheira's questline, the game will now default to selecting the character of whichever is in control of Jaheira for combat, whether than whoever is nearest. This way, Jaheira has a much higher chance of not only being included, but interacting with the correct player. Fix some duplicated books appearing in NPCs' inventories in Lower City. Fix infinitely looping dialogue in Sorcerer's Sundries. Fix the bait in Baldur's Mouth now correctly as a dangerous area. Nine Fingers' foggy memory will now recognize you when you bring Jaheira to her after she asks you to. Remove a second letter from Terra's nest. Avatar Astarion will now correctly roll a passive perception check to recognize the scar on Sebastian's face. Shadowheart no longer sometimes thinks that Victonia is still alive after having killed her. Poor thing. Karlach will now react to Will becoming the Blade of Frontiers. Knocking Mincy out a second time after failing to save him will no longer kill him. Wolbrin will no longer comment on Tubin's daughter being dead if Tubin's not present. Civilians talking to the Carrion zombies will now leave if said zombies either die or get sent to the Filgrave Mansion. You can now return Mole's eye patch to her when you find her in the guild hall. Gave Sticky Dondo more lines to yell to sell his wares while in the guild hall. That's funny. When Minsk meets Nine Fingers after the Zent coup, the skill checks will now affect Minsk instead of Nine Fingers, match the narrative. Fixed characters in the narrator speaking over each other when interacting with Minsk's relics in his hidden chamber. You no longer open the barracks in the Crimson Drought. We forgot the barricades were supposed to work both ways. Wolbrin and Barkus will no longer dip into each other after Steel Watch Foundry is destroyed. Yoink Skeletor's Fell's hat back from Helsith's desk. If you choose to sacrifice Jaheira and Minsk to the murder tribunal, they will now die if they're defeated non-lethally. If you attack Saravok on his way to initiation ritual, the echoes will no longer join him in combat. Valeria's dialogue will play properly if you kill Saravok while beginning the ritual. Members of the Murder Tribunal will always become permanently hostile if you offend them. The Murder Tribunal will stop being a danger zone if you defeat everyone there. Jahara no longer discuss having met with Talk to Grim, Gortash, and Worm's Rock if you've killed him before talking to him. Mizora will now acknowledge that you've spoken to Gortash in older saves. Made small improvements and tweaks to Karlach's main dialogue in her final ending. Fixed some of the dialogue options appearing twice when talking about Halfson with your ventures in Shures Caress. You should no longer potentially see the great empty void of game developer land when starting an epilogue. Added more lines for Jahara and Minx to exclaim during battle with the Stone Lord. Fix a bug where it's possible to get stuck in dialogue with the Emperor killing Gortash if you clicked on Gortash with Karlach. Fix an issue preventing Ravengard from correctly joining Iron Throne combat. Develop will no longer disappear from Figaro after killing Dolor after specific conditions. The Dark Urge resists Ball Path. Fix a rare edge case where Netherese Dagger did not appear on her. You can no longer summon Scratch in the epilogue using Find Familiars to prevent you from interacting with him. In the epilogue, Minsk can now account for the edge case of Happy not being there. Fix Scratch's spawn point in the Elfsong Tavern. If you fail to pickpocket an attempt at High Hall, your allies will no longer become hostile towards you. Fix Gortash's title reverting to Archduke nominee when reloading a save after a ceremony. Gale will now greet you more appropriately in the epilogue if you left Faerun with Lae'zel and ended your relationship with him and he went back to Waterdeep. Improve the idle animation of Chef Marjoram and sous chef Valorum in Janeth's estate. Will no longer talk about hunting down Mizora like she's right there. Added some dialogue reactivity about the Shadow Druids when talking to Halston in Act 3. So the journal, a lot of little things here. The journal is like your quest log. So those are all pretty minor there, but you can pause it and read through them if you'd like to, because yeah, there's a few of them that just don't really have a big play on things. Performance, this is what a lot of people care about. So video options, DLAA, issue where enabling DLAA would enable cause outage put into jitter. DLAA fix an issue there. Slightly improve performance in choosing any DLSS or DLAA. That's huge. DLSS is really nice. And getting improvements to that is always fun. Fix the item stacking system, taking a long time to work if you need to split up massive stacks. That's huge because that's happened to me multiple times. You'll now be logged in automatically if you successfully create a Larian account in game. Fix anti-aliasing, affecting the quality of fur. Improve performance when moving many items at the same time. Another one that I've had many times. Fix the game sometimes freezing right before combat begins. Fix helmet visibility being reset on save and load. Fix DLSS paired with bloom causing some strong sparkly flashes in the colony. Fix freezing briefly when calling for the allies during combat at High Hall. Fix the slow HDD mode not being saved to disk. And yeah, you should probably play this on an SSD. Summoning critters will no longer cause the game to freeze. Improve render bounds when to improve performance on GPU bound systems. Improve protections against failsafe game overwrites on PS5. Nice. Improve server performance by having items containers get evaluated once loading in a region instead of every frame. UI, there's some different ones here. So added the ability to toggle visibleness of the journal. Rename the show Cinematic Nudity to show sexual and violent cinematics. Instead, updated it to more graphically communicate what it does. Fix items sometimes not being shown in the reward UI. Fix the map atop the mother brain showing some of the buildings underneath it. The advantage and disadvantage of tutorial pop-ups will now trigger outside of dialogues. Fix the party line, sometimes triggering group toggle mode. Fix a bug where the reward UI lets you select optional rewards instead of determine maximum amount. Fix the custom mode banner. Custom mode save games with honor mode rule set will now be named correctly instead of suggesting that they're pure honor mode. The book text size option now affects font size and other readables like notes and scrolls. Fix icons in the hotbar sometimes not graying out when they should have. Added the NPC saving throws to their exam and UI. That's nice. Added tutorial pop-off for rolling with disadvantage. Added the icons to the character sheet for instrument proficiency to show their actual functions. Fix an issue where a save game would disappear when selecting another save file. Fix a game over pop-up appearing in honor mode while in a custom game mode using the honor mode rule set. Fix the icon not showing properly in the active roll UI. On keyboard and mouse, the purple dot on the hotbar that indicates condition your weapon is now visible in the character sheet. Updated the text size for books and single-page documents. You can also change this in options. Add speaker portraits to the dialogue history in the journal for keyboard and mouse. Fix some turns not being properly displayed in languages when selecting dialogue history. The number that indicates how many camp supplies you have now updates correctly. Fix the common reactions tab of the character sheet. Adjust the spacing and reactions to make resource a little cheaper. Fix the Larian splash screen sometimes not appearing when launching the game. Fix the technical name showing up in the combat for the magma methods. Updated the font in the game launcher and some other changes there. Controller, you can now switch between grid view and list book for scroll. I have a huge recommendation. If you're playing this on PC, it's best to be played with the keyboard and mouse. If you want to play it in bed, get a wireless keyboard and mouse. You'll thank yourself later. And play with the WASD and camera tweaks mod. So I won't go over all of these because you can pause and read them if you want to, but controller is kind of a niche case. Multiplayer and split screen. Remove the friends filter from the multiplayer lobby because this filter isn't supported on GOG. Removed an unnecessary mute button from the lobby on PS5. Fix the position of the virtual keyboard on split screen on the PS5. In multiplayer, other players can now see the reward the character received. Prevent the reset tutorials pop up showing when you're in a multiplayer lobby. Trade UI will no longer mute cinematics. Fix the panning for items getting moved around the trade UI. And fix an issue on multiplayer where all map markers were getting updated. Tool tips. So fix a tooltip for detect thoughts and dialogue showing a wisdom roll instead of intelligence. Fix some visible placeholder text for Karnus' Spindleweb Sanctuary spell. Fix some spell tooltips indicated they trigger a saving throw. The tooltip for a Cursed Room's Ray of Sickness will indicate the spell level in school. Added evasion modifiers to the tooltips for combat logs for monks. Improve the clarity and calculation breakdown tooltip for reflected damage. Fix in character creation and level up. Fix the unconfirmed character changes were not saved, warning someone of after the character creation. Fix the character creation UI, sometimes remain invisible when you play as an origin character. Level design. If a companion leaves the camp and then their tent disappears, the area will now be walkable again. Remove the turrets on the ground floor of Worm's Crossing. Tweak the position of the neutral apparatus in the Mind Flayer colony. Fix a spot in Emerald Grove beside Cal, where the camera would occlude the world badly. Fix the door to Isabel's room and Moonrise Towers appearing black. Fix the unreachable fruit porridge in Worm's Rock. Moved an unreachable book. Tweak the out level in Act 1 Chapel Refractory to balustrade you so you couldn't shoot through. Move Player 3's Traveler's Chest at a Will's 10 to Owlbear Cave in Act 1. Fix a table you can walk through and walk key and rest. Fix a group of refugees spawning in one of the boats in the lower city harbor. Fix a bug getting a magical journey painting and then click on the ladder will give you can't get there error. Fix the camera getting stuck on the ceiling in a festering cove. And made some minor level and art improvements in the city. So there's a bunch of art. So Minthara's camp trousers would get properly whenever there's blood splatter. It won't be just between the legs. Equip the missing pants and the scale mail out for male dragonborns. Added Hope's new passive, Last Hope. I don't think that's really an art one, but there's a bunch of different art pieces here that got updated. Animations, companions in Wild Shape will no longer perform their idle animations, though they're still humanoid. That one's funny. I'm sad that got fixed. Fix the spawn animations for spiderlings, and fix the animations, sometimes getting interrupted. Skip when combat is triggered. Auntie Ethel will now be cleaning her table. Lots of minor little animation updates here, so I don't recall anything major being here. Like I guess some clipping on like Protectee Sparkwall. They didn't fix some of my favorites, so they fixed a lot of things for Dragonborn, so I'm assuming that they want a lot of people to play the Dark Urge, so this is the best time to play it. My elf drow, half elf drow, and half drow also don't, when they wear the Wave Mother's robe, it clips through their chest still, so yeah, a lot of these have issues with clipping that, well, a lot of these got their clipping fixed, but that's one that I noticed that's still there. Sound, so there's a lot of sound fixes, most notably being the lower city now is less loud. The magicians inside Sorcerer's Trinities were yelling casting spells so loudly it was hard to hear companions over them. Yeah, they toned that up, which is nice. I did notice that change because they were yelling loudly. Reduce excessive noise in Sorcerer's Sundries. So there's a lot of little issues that may have been loud areas in the game that are now fixed, so that's huge. VFX are now fixed too, and writing, so added better dialogue reactivity for players partnering with Will. So Will and Karlach's romance gets a little bit of improvements. Added dialogue line where Dark Urge contemplates arson. Added a few reactions to ongoing events from Shadowheart. Added dialogue to tell Astarion about meeting Alma if you met her without him. Astarion also has new line in dialogue with Alma if you meet her without telling him. Dark Urge will now notice Gortash reacting to them in the dialogue in his office in Wyrn Rock. Fix the subtitle wasn't showing up for Arbiter Cirrus. Will now has a comment to make after you convince Lorokin that the Night Song is dead. Also now responds to being sacrificed by Orin. Fix the torch by Minthara's tent that was displaying its technical name is now called Bone Torch. Fix the martial exertion tooltip implying that it lasted for more than one turn. Fix the Ensnaring Strike spell encounter showing up as Ensnaring Strike ranged. So that's great. Fix an encounter condition on the Bloodleth Inner Sunbeam tooltip. So mainly just little tooltips. Clarify the Life Dinker passive only works for weapons with your packed weapon. I didn't know that. So cool. I guess that's why tooltips are important. Fix some typos and mismatch between subtitles and Wither's epilogue. Fix the name of the decorative pot in the colony, which was lying around being a cook pot. Fix some more typos. And cinematics, so improved camera shots, mocap animations, fix jitters, pops, camera shots, fix where characters were looking in Gale's recruitment dialogue. So just a bunch of minor ones from what I've read through here. So like things you probably won't notice in your playthrough, but just minor changes and all the way through here. So there's a ton of different animation ones. This video is getting really long at 15. This is my longest video ever. And I've been talking the whole time. So these are all just animations. You can read through these if you'd like, but nothing super duper important, just like minor animation changes that are artistically pleasing. So that is the full list of mods in Baldur's Gate 3 patch 7. This is a large list. So there's lots of changes. If you've got any questions, leave a comment below because I've went through this and I've answered many questions so far, and I've been researching and testing a lot of different things here. So yeah, feel free to leave comments. Hit the subscribe button below. This is a 50-minute video, my longest video. And I appreciate all the support, guys. It means the world to me. So thank you so much for following along on my journey. And I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.